This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePay Resources. Welcome to the Payment Space.
I'm pleased to welcome Peter Tapling, Managing Director of PTap Advisory, to the Payment Space podcast brought to you by ePay Resources. This is being recorded live at Notch's Smarter, Faster Payments 2024. I'm your guest host, Peter Davey, the Payments Jedi. Peter, welcome to the show.
Peter, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
So, you have been in and around the payment space for some time now, and you have had a shtick around this instant payment stuff. And I think we've been lucky enough to have a number of conversations about what it takes to adopt these new real-time instant payment rails. As you've been at the conference, what's been one of the observations that you've had about the conversations going on with instant payments?
Yeah, well, with regard to the content at the conference, we're kind of weaning on the instant payments content. There's a whole bunch of AI content and things like that. So we're moving on a little bit. And I think it's really important for the industry that the moving on doesn't mean we stop. We're at the starting line. We're not at the finish line. And my perspective here is we've spent a dozen years as financial institutions looking inward. We were looking into ourselves and against the networks and figuring out, where am I going to implement? Who am I going to implement? How am I going to implement? And we need to get away from that and start looking outward to our customers and saying, how are we going to enable our customers to be able to take advantage of these newer, faster, wonderful payments?
But that really doesn't mean offering out just RTP or FedNow as a product, does it?
But I mean, in some cases it could, but you're right, it doesn't. You know, in the United States, we love choice. And a customer, a business might decide, I can get my real-time money via Zelle. If you're going to pay me less than $200, I want you to pay me by Zelle. It's easy, right? If you're going to pay me more than that, maybe I want a same-day ACH. Maybe I want an RTP or a FedNow. But the bottom line is, today, the instant payment schemes aren't even in that conversation because they're not wired up. We have to build the applications to make them an option in that list of options.
So thinking about, making these, capabilities enabled for our downstream customers of financial institutions, it strikes me that the nature of what we've built is really a more automated way of making payments. How important are APIs to the integration of these new capabilities and driving the adoption?
It is highly unlikely that the volume drivers for instant payments will be applications that have user interfaces. I am sure that most banks, financial institutions, credit unions will build some sort of user interface to do one-off payments, but that's not where the volume is going to come from. This concept of always on, immediate, when we say faster payments, people think, well, sometimes I don't want to pay faster. It's not about faster. It's about precision. It's about paying who you want, when you want, the way you want. And so that's going to be driven by systems, and there's no reason to inject a human in the middle. So how does the business make the payment request? Well, there's got to be some programmatic way to do that, and that's going to be some sort of API.
So with APIs, obviously, we can't have 9,000 financial institutions offer 9,000 different ways of driving APIs.
Like we have 200 offering 200 different ways today?
Exactly. I know that you're very involved with the Faster Payments Council, and there's some work going on within the FPC to start to drive some standardization in that space. You want to talk a little bit about what the FPC is looking at in there?
Sure. U.S. Faster Payments Council, fasterpaymentscouncil.org. For those of you who don't know, there's plenty of great resources out there. We have a series of work groups. One of the work groups is the API working group. And the concept of the API working group, the objective that they have, is to begin to identify what these APIs might look like. I don't think that the Faster Payments Council is going to be the organization that goes out and builds the whole Swagger Hub outline of all the APIs, but it's really, what are the business requirements in the APIs so that people can go start building them. There are other entities in the ecosystem that are building standardized APIs and actually publishing the API standards. But you're right. I mean, today you could go to api.chase.com, api.capitalone.com, api.wellsfargo.com, and you will see hundreds of APIs, but the APIs that do the exact same function don't look the same. So if I have to do an integration, let's back it off to the bank's customers. If I am a bank customer and I have to do an integration, or if I'm a fintech that's supporting a bank customer, I now have to do 10, 15, 20, 100, 200 integrations. So normalization of those APIs is going to drastically increase the amount of volume that comes through them. And for community financial institutions, they don't have the resources to be the ones that build these APIs. They're not going to hire a team of 7 people to go do API development. So standardization helps them immensely.
I think it also, as we think about the standardization side of it, it also gives a target for people to build to. It's always hard to start from square one and figure out what you're going to offer to your customers. And then as you think about the myriad of applications that need to then consume these APIs, there needs to be some target that people are working toward, both on the fintech/vendor side and on the financial institution end.
Correct. And like I said, there are entities in the ecosystem who are building those kinds of APIs. And for those of you who are not aware listening to this podcast, the CFPB is doing work around Dodd-Frank's Section 1033. Section 1033 is a specification in the law that says financial institutions should give customers access to their data. This is a riff off of true open banking as it exists over on the other side of the pond in Europe and the UK. But the bottom line is APIs are not something that you are going to be able to choose whether or not you do. Many community financial institutions will get these provided for them through their core providers, through their digital banking providers, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that they divorce themselves from the decisions that need to be made around those APIs and the products that those APIs support.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure having you and seeing you at Payments.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Peter. Onwards. Instant payments away.